They don't get it. They just don't get it. This is what happens when you overprotect your players. This is what happens when you shield your players from any and all criticism. This is what happens when you have been indoctrinated to believe that you're the ultimate victim. When you were growing up, how did the men in your family teach you to handle a bully? I know some of these kids in Gen Z LGBT will have a hard time understanding and answering this question because bullies have been excluded from schools that claim to be all about inclusion. But the Gen Xers, the millennials, when we were growing up, how were we taught to handle bullies? Did we find the nearest adult and ask them to handle our problem for us? Did we run home to our parents and beg them to keep us out of school? If I ran home and told my dad that I was afraid to go to school because some doofus was threatening to take my lunch money, my dad would have taken my lunch money and told me to quit acting like a bitch. Back then, kids were taught to stand up for themselves. We were taught to stand up to bullies. Of course, today, that method is no bueno. Tommy can't stand up for himself. He might get hurt. He might get a bruise. If you were the target of a joke, if you were pranked, you didn't cry about it. You didn't ask the teacher for some extra soft Charmin. If you woke up one Saturday morning and your front yard was filled with toilet paper and dildos, you no-sold that shit. You acted like it didn't bother you. You didn't call the cops. You cleaned up the mess, and the single mom next door, she probably confiscated various sizes of the battery-powered devices. Ooh, this synthetic wiener plugs into the wall. It's supersized and supercharged. So, how come WNBA coaches and players, how come they are incapable of taking a joke? How come the unbelievably entitled victims in the WNBA are incapable of handling it without having an emotional meltdown? Now, to be fair, there are some WNBA players. Well, there's at least one WNBA player who can laugh with us. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to you guys that Sophie Cunningham, who is rapidly becoming the biggest star in the league, not named Caitlin Clark, Sophie can take a joke. But imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when I see the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx lecturing the fan base over this generous donation of dildos. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. I know some of you guys are having some trouble locating the link. If you look at the title of the video on your phone, there should be a button that says More. Click that and it will load the description of the video along with the link to the second channel. Also, Uncle KC is trying to get monetized over on TikTok. I'm only 9,000 subscribers away. If you want to help your uncle out, I provided the link to TikTok in the description as well. TikTok for me is basically condensed versions of the videos on the second channel. I'm still learning the platform. To be honest with you, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing on TikTok. But if you want to help Uncle KC create a new revenue stream so Oreo and Chew can continue enjoying their top shelf Purina, they would appreciate if you subscribe to Behind the Line on TikTok. Last night was a history-making moment in the WNBA dump. This polished turd was able to accomplish another first. And you guys know how much dump divers in the WNBA love a first. This league is essentially a celebration of first. A couple of years ago, they celebrated the first comma in their bank balance. Woohoo! We're officially thousandaires! Back in 2020, they celebrated the first voluntary knee on a pretend basketball court as they kneeled for the national anthem. Last night, the WNBA celebrated their first purple dildo. Apparently, Barney was at the game last night between the Atlanta Dreamers and the Chicago Bravado. Not only was Barney the only purple dinosaur in the Wintrust Civic Center, he was also the only specimen in the stands capable of breathing. No one was at this game last night. No one was there to witness the Chicago Bravado continue their season-long streak of getting their ass kicked. There were more people on the court than in the arena. Late in the fourth quarter, Barney was tired of being bored. He had been spanking his purple wanker for 2 hours. The batteries eventually died late in the third quarter, so Barney was forced to watch unbelievably bad basketball. So Barney decided to entertain himself by tossing his uncharged wanker onto the court. Gamblers across the country, they were devastated. They were pissed off. There was big money on the next battery-powered device being generously donated to WNBA players being green. Sportsbooks made millions last night when Barney tossed his purple passion on the court. Now, if you're the WNBA, there are two ways to handle this. For starters, how in the hell does this keep happening? This is the fourth time in less than 2 weeks that expensive pleasures have been donated to WNBA players. You would think security would be checking for vibrating wankers at the door. Excuse me, sir, you're not allowed in here with that weapon of passion. But it's real, it's attached to my body. Sir, this is a pretend basketball league. Real wieners are not allowed. If you're the WNBA, there are two ways to handle this from a PR perspective. Number one, you can laugh it off. You can embrace the moment, embrace the free publicity, which, to be honest with you, I think the WNBA as a league, the front office, might be doing that. It's not like there were 20,000 people last night begging to get into that arena. There were literally a handful of people at the game last night to watch the Bravado get their ass kicked. You mean to tell me the WNBA is so incompetent they couldn't confiscate Barney's synthetic schlong at the door? Well, the WNBA is incompetent, so that is entirely possible. But number two, you can continue to handle the situation the way most WNBA players and coaches are handling it, which is incessant whining, incessant complaining, along with lecturing the fan base. Let me show you a couple of examples. This is how Sophie Cunningham, the fastest rising star, not only in the WNBA, Sophie Cunningham is one of the fastest rising stars in the country. This is how Sophie Cunningham is handling the donation of dongs. Watch for yourself.
Dude, the funny thing is like my parents and my sister, they literally text me after or before every single game, like saying good luck, like da-da-da, you know? And my mom, I'll send it so everyone can see this. But my mom, she goes, instead of like my good luck text, she goes, watch out for flying dildos tonight. And then the other one said, did you really just post the dildo tweet? It got some legs. And she goes, it's funny, a lot of others think so too. Did you see the dildo hit the court? I was like, I never thought that I'd be talking about this with Mama P.
There was something I noticed in Sophie Cunningham's response, and I think this is critical. Sophie Cunningham shared a text from her mother where mom was laughing this off. Mom was essentially participating in the joke. This is what parenting looks like. I don't know anything about Sophie Cunningham's parents, but based on her behavior, based on the way she carries herself, based on the way Sophie Cunningham handles herself, I think it's safe to assume that she was raised right. Her mother obviously has a strong influence in her life. Mom, she didn't freak out over this. She didn't freak out when she saw a mid-sized flash of green across her TV screen. Mom didn't victimize her daughter when she was forced to jump over a resting wiener. Instead, Mom made light of the situation. And guess what her daughter did? She followed her lead. It's strange how that works. Now, compare Sophie Cunningham's response to the emotional breakdown of Cheryl Reeve. Well, Casey, who in the hell is Shirley Cleave? Sherry is the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. Several years ago, Sherry attempted to become famous by coaching a WNBA game while wearing a shirt that said, "Protect trans kids." Unfortunately, Sherry never specified what type of protection they needed. If they're playing in the WNBA, they obviously need helmets to protect them from flying objects. Sherry is a proud deacon at Woke United Methodist. She is highly trained at preaching the good word and spreading the woke faith. Last night, Sherry got behind the pulpit and delivered an impassioned sermon about the over-sexualization of women. Now, initially, I thought she might have been talking about Angel Reese. The Bayou Barbie has a tendency to post risque photos at the request of lonely men. But Sherry, she wasn't talking about Barbie. She was talking about these deviants who continue to provide generous donations to financially challenged WNBA players. Watch for yourself.
This has been going on for centuries. The sexualization of women. This is the latest version of that. And it's not funny. And it should not be the butt of jokes on any radio shows or in print or in any comments. The sexualization of women is what's used to hold women down. And this is no different. This is just its latest form. And we should write about it in that way. And these people that are doing this should be held accountable. And we're not the butt of the joke.
What? Excuse me? This has been going on for centuries? I know Sherry might claim to have been alive for centuries, but I'm pretty sure the WNBA has only been around for decades. Maybe I missed the latest addendum to the woke commandments. Maybe decades are now choosing to identify as centuries. According to Sherry, these egregious jokes, they are being used to hold women down. I'm pretty sure plastic passion is not holding women down and preventing WNBA players from dunking. I believe scientists refer to that as gravity. You know, this whole thing is confusing to me. Obviously, the response from Cheryl Reeve and other victims in the WNBA is not confusing. It's expected. But I am confused. I thought WNBA players liked free stuff. They're always complaining. They're always demanding free things. Things they believe they're owed. Things they believe they're entitled to be given. Free money, free airfare, free accommodations, free media coverage, free transportation. Now we have generous fans donating free dildos. And all of a sudden, WNBA players are unsatisfied with free. There's just no satisfying WNBA players. Doesn't matter how much you give, they always want more. Or in this case, now they want less. Someone please make it make sense. All kidding aside, the WNBA isn't doing themselves any favors by continuing to overreact to this. The reason this keeps happening is because you keep overreacting. If you ignore it, it will go away. But part of me believes that, at least from a league perspective, the WNBA front office, Part of me believes that they're embracing the free publicity, which would also explain why this continues to happen. Give me your thoughts on this. Who has the correct response? Sophie Cunningham or Cheryl Reeve? Sophie Cunningham or the rest of the entitled complainers in the WNBA dump? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.